A viral video from Nova Scotia, this time around, showing what we just played out, an Indian origin man being told to go back. And this is a deeper anti-Indian sentiment that is now taking root in parts of Canada. Just a couple of days back, we were speaking about what was happening in Texas. A couple of days before that, what happened in that United States parking lot. Multiple incidents that are now racking up. This is not isolated episodes anymore, but a broader rise in anti-Indian sentiment across North America.
Thank you, Kabir. It's such a pleasure and honor for me to be here. And let me tell you, this is all over the place. The Western politicians are demonizing immigrants because they've realized that a bunch of immigrants have done extremely well for themselves in a country where the natives are not doing so well. So a lot of it has also to do with being jealous and envious. I mean, that's one. And two, a lot of these individuals are a very low IQ because there have been times I've been told to go back to Iran and Pakistan. So I found that more hilarious than to be offended by it. But it's a serious problem and it's going to grow. Elon Musk also commented. I mean, you forgot one more issue, which is huge, which is in this country, which is Vikram Degwa and Henry Nowak. It has actually split open the United Kingdom into two parts. And not to mention the Sikhs have been there for generations. You know, they went there. There are third and fourth generation Sikhs who went there to build the railroads and other menial jobs that the locals wouldn't do. But it begs the larger question, Kabir, why do migrants leave home? It's not easy being a migrant. I wouldn't know of any migrant who actually hasn't wept in the basement or whatever he's been saying as soon as you land, because we're very emotionally vulnerable and connected people. But why are we leaving? Because the European Union and the Americans, you're going to love this, Kabir. The European Union and the American colonized 84% of the world between the 15th to the 20th century. Yeah. So first they came to these countries, they plundered their wealth, you know, and then when these migrants, which they allow for their purposes, for jobs that their local wouldn't do, with the tuition money which we would pay, for the money that we bring into their economy, because any student or any individual there, I mean, he's spending money in their country and creating employment. I mean, imagine America without Indians. Imagine NASA, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, the doctors, all for that matter, the Silicon Valley. So they need us. But just that right now, it's a very lethal combination in a very fraught and polarized world that further social media creates, where the likes of Elon Musk and people with technology use it for their right-wing agenda because they've realized that's the corner they're left with. You know, in America, we used to call them the rednecks or people living in the Rust Belt states. Or another word, I'd like to define that by saying the word MAGA, and I think that should settle it all. So it's very dangerous. It's going to get more, and somewhere our success is becoming a problem for them to be here.
Yeah, success is becoming a problem for ourselves. Adit, how do you look at that? You know, Mr. Lally here saying that, you know, this is going to get more dangerous. And for years, Indians have integrated, we've worked hard, we've paid taxes, contributed to society, and it's an anxiety-ridden first few years when you go there. Even in the United Kingdom, you've got the far right, and we saw what happened during the elections. If the immigrants are still being targeted because of their identity, what should the response now be? Should we all react back just how Lovepreet reacted in this particular video?
No, I don't think, I don't particularly agree with how Lovepreet basically confronted the woman, because
what was wrong? What was wrong with that? What was wrong with that?
I thought, you know, resorting to vile abuses and, you know, resorting to abusive languages only diminishes your own sort of standing. And that is pretty much how I read the situation. You know, each person has his own different reading of the scenario. But Kabir, I think we shouldn't trivialize the rise of the far right and the rise of the Islamofascism in the West, where the moderates are basically getting squeezed in the middle. You know, there is this rise of the anger politics, and then there is the rise of these parallel governments, these parallel ecosystems that are now creeping into society. And which is why the moderates are finding it very sort of difficult to coexist with both these factions. And this is going to continue happening. You used a word called xenophobia. Now, the rise of xenophobia in itself is on the basis of a lot of other factors as well. While I agree with everything Surendraji outlined, but the rise of xenophobia is also on the basis of sheer demographic change. I mean, we've seen this kind of demographic change in West Bengal from where I come from, and there is a large amount of intolerance for the Bangladeshi community. There is a large amount of intolerance for people moving in from UP and Bihar into Maharashtra, which actually gave rise to the MNS and the Shiv Senas of the world. That is also xenophobia. So I don't think we should trivialize this to that degree. There is this rise of far right populist politics in the West, which is going to hurt the Indian population. But if you extrapolate the data, does the data actually tell us that it's a very scary situation for the Indians living in the West? I have been living in London, in the UK for the past 25 years. I have been called Paki a number of times. I have been thrown racial slurs, but have I not been able to go about my day-to-day job in a rather hospitable way where I have actually assimilated with the population, and which is why I'm recognized and I'm respected. So there is also the population of the illegal immigration which we need to address, which often goes under the plank. Plus, in addition, a lot of the...
So you're essentially saying there is a half-truth in all of this hostility as well.
Yeah, very important point though. A lot of the anti-India and anti-Hindu hate which we actually get is actually not from the sort of Caucasian community, but from our own sort of subcontinental population, the Khalistanis, for example, or the Islamists. What we saw in the Leicester riots in 2022, what we even saw yesterday when the 1984 was being the Martyrs' Day was basically being celebrated in the streets of Canada and the streets of London, where posters of Indira Gandhi were being showed as in a very derogatory manner. So we've seen that kind of hatred even come from within our own communities, which get projected into that data. So I think that data needs to be looked at with much more clarity and much more
intricacy, much more clarity. All right, point noted, point taken. But you see, Ms. Lali, first and foremost, your viewpoints on what Adit just told us.